So let's start off with the ladder matches. So the men's match, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Omos, Sami Zayn, Riddle, and now Madcap Moss are the 7 in the ladder match. I think that unless you're going to do like a babyface wins and then you have the babyface lose the briefcase, I think long term, I really like Seth Rollins having this briefcase. You have the intrigue of him redoing his WrestleMania 31 cash-in with the same Lesnar versus Reigns match at SummerSlam. And long-term, you have the link to Cody and Cody trying to get that briefcase as well. I just think it opens the door for many possibilities, and it gives Rollins like many directions as well as one of your lead guys on Raw.
It's a really interesting idea with the Cody situation. So let's play that out. If Rollins wins the briefcase, do you think that leads to him winning before WrestleMania? And does it lead to a Cody Seth match again, potentially at a WrestleMania? Like, what would the path be for the Cody match?
I mean, it would depend on like when he's ready to come back, and
presumably again, Rumble and Mania season.
We also don't know if come Mania next year, when you have to run 2 separate nights, separating the belts. And if so, then you have a Rumble winner and you have Cody with a briefcase to challenge for whichever championship on one of the nights.
Oh, so you're suggesting Cody beating Seth for the briefcase?
Yes.
Right. Which is of course possible. Yeah, very, very possible.
Like you have to wrap up that feud and having the briefcase at stake, that would be something that Cody can win. It's a 4th match with Rollins, but I think that's a guarantee we're getting it. It just, I look at these other options and like you could put it on Drew and that sets up the Cardiff show. And the rest.
But it almost feels like Cardiff doesn't need it, like
I just think like what to me, the value of that briefcase is having it beyond just the match that everyone expects already with Reigns and Drew, that Drew can get that shot by winning something on television. And the rest of the options here, Sheamus, I don't see any value in that one. Zayn, I don't think this should be used for like a comedy prop. Omos is
although as like just skits and just like story, I would love to see it. Zayn was really amusing today, where he was stating how he would just win the briefcase and then let it expire just so that nobody else can have it, and so the title is protected on Roman. But if he would win it, we know he's going to be tempted to use it. So I just feel like it puts the focus on Zayn and his involvement in the bloodline. It adds a different dimension to it, and I think could make for something really interesting with Zayn. But you're right, like Zayn with the briefcase, he's never going to be somebody that I think they're looking at as, that top heel or that top baby face that could really benefit from having one of these things. So don't really see it myself. But then you can make the argument that like, well, okay, listen, in your scenario, like if Rollins were to win, I think you'd get some complaints about why it's going to somebody who's already as established as Rollins. But if it is being set up for Cody to ultimately win it from Rollins, then yeah, it's viable.
There's also like the option you threw out this week of Riddle wins and Rollins and Riddle fight for the briefcase at SummerSlam too.
Did I throw that out there? I don't recall that, but
you threw that out as a suggestion. That's where I recall hearing it.
Okay, sure. I'll take credit for it. Yeah, sure. I just like, I hate like people fighting for briefcases. Like it just kind of makes this match feel meaningless. Like Madcap Moss could win this match. And if you just challenge him afterwards, it's like, it makes this moot.
Do you think that this closes the show?
Yes, I do.
Me too. So who do you think wins?
I'll go with Rollins. I'll go with your suggestion.
And then the women: Lacey Evans, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Asuka, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch. I think that Liv Morgan will be the sentimental favorite, so I cross her out.
Yeah.
I guess this could be Lacey Evans is a possibility. I don't see Alexa winning this. I don't see Raquel winning this. I don't see Asuka or Shotzi winning this. I think Lacey and Becky are probably your candidates.
Why don't you see Alexa?
I think it's a very boring choice to go with.
Why is that?
So I shouldn't eliminate her. I think it's I think her return has been very dull. There's nothing about this character that to me is of any interest. And it would be starting from scratch, essentially, with her having this briefcase. And that would be the only defining trait this character has on television. She has a doll and a briefcase.
Yeah. I mean, part of me wonders if they've been intentionally holding Alexa back from, I don't know, having a much more interesting character so that she could reveal more of it after holding the briefcase. I never count her out because, she is somebody who, can just draw a lot of attention, and can certainly maybe use that extra push right now. But Lacey Evans is a baby face. Do I necessarily see her with the briefcase? Not unless she cashes in that night. But do you see that? Do you see?
I think it's a possibility. Yes, I think this match probably starts the show, and then you're going to have that tease for both women's title matches. So I wouldn't throw that out there. The idea of someone cashing in on the other. I mean, there would be the natural story of Becky cashing in and taking Bianca's belt to set up SummerSlam. Yep. You could do that, and then they rematch next month, a year after the last time she stole the belt from her. Yeah. I don't know. Like seriously, you could probably go any direction here. It's who they have an idea of. Like Raquel, I don't think makes a whole lot of sense to have it. So I guess my short list would be Becky and Lacey.
Well, anything can happen. I'm not even gonna try to pick a winner.
Bianca Belair and Carmella. Bianca retains.
But the X factor in all of this is potentially a cash in. So even if Bianca retains, if it's a grueling match, well then maybe it's more significant for that reason. I also think for Carmella, it's an opportunity that she doesn't always get to have a pay-per-view title match. So this is a big chance for her to prove that she's not just, like the mask gimmick, for instance. Or
both women's title matches should get, sufficient time on a card that it has 6 matches, and I don't see any more matches being added to this. So they should have their amount of time, as will Ronda and Natalya. So they've done their unique build, and now it's time to have the armbar versus sharpshooter match. And I guess does Ronda submit her and just end this program?
Maybe of the two, like the one that I sense that might be a setup for a briefcase would probably be this one. Potentially, like you might get that WrestleMania 13 spot of Ronda Rousey being put in the sharpshooter. She's like refusing to tap out,
and they have the story she's going in hurt.
What injury does she have?
They did the sharpshooter angle, and remember they took her to the be checked out on the doctor, and they've been bringing it up that she's been hurt ever since that. So
there you go.
I mean that could set you up. Like if you were to go heel with Lacey, that's the direction.
Yeah. Oh God, it's just so ridiculous that we could even still consider Lacey Evans after all those promos as a heel. But at this point, sure, why not? We've forgotten enough about those segments.
I think people are just numb to these directions.
Yeah, I mean, Lacey versus Ronda is a possible direction. Man, Lacey Evans is a champion coming out of the show. Oh man,
I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
No, it's possible. I'm looking forward to the match. Okay, like they've set up the whole whatever trash talk aside. I'm curious to see what sort of match they structure between a sharpshooter and an armbar battle.
The Usos against the Street Profits for the undisputed tag team championships. I think they're going to have a great match. I thought the segment tonight was very strong to set them go into the pay-per-view, and I see the Usos retaining, and that's the question mark at the end with the Street Profits of whether this is going to be the split. So I would be I can't say I would be stunned if the Street Profits won these tag titles. There's a meaningful direction to go, but I see the Usos retaining here.
I do too. I don't see them, giving the bloodline really any L's until like Roman comes in and there's something a bit more significant and a more significant team to put it on. At this point, the Street Profits winning another championship, I just don't think elevates anybody all that much. It's,
the problem is there are no other teams.
Well, then keep it on the Usos. Then I think it's more valuable on them.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like if you're holding these titles for a bigger team down the road, like that team to me does not exist on this roster.
We haven't seen the new and vicious Viking Raiders yet.
That's right.
Getting built up. Also, Mansoir and Marseille.
That's right. And then Theory and Bobby Lashley. I guess this is interesting if you are in fact going to Cena and Theory, and they have not announced any more appearances for John Cena. If you were going to that match, it would make sense. You probably want to ditch that title and put it on someone else.
Mm-hmm. Now, at the same time, like, are you concerned? Like, would they be concerned that about Theory taking a loss?
I mean, it would be how they do the loss. I frankly would not want to be beating Theory now if in fact Cena is the match at SummerSlam.
Wouldn't the better match be Lashley versus Cena, like by every like measure, you know, like in terms of star power, in terms of who you're going to elevate by having, you know, them beat John Cena?
Well, the problem is you have a 45-year-old elevating a 45-year-old.
Still more, yeah, okay, fine, but I still think you end up with a hotter star than, you know.
It is, but I can totally understand though the thinking. Like, that's a big match for that night at SummerSlam, but they are building a program for SummerSlam of 5 years from now.
Yeah, and we'll see. Sure, we'll see if it works out.
Yeah, it's only interesting here the fact that there is the title here, and they have been very careful about Bobby Lashley, and now Theory is, you know, poised for the biggest program of his career. So actually the booking of this one is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. Do you think we see an appearance from John Cena?
And after those ticket sales, I would never be putting John Cena as a surprise again on any show. I would be advertising the hell out of Cena. I guess there's no more tickets to sell on a show like this. I'll say no. I don't think we're going to see Cena.
I don't expect it either. How about an appearance from Vince McMahon?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
What does he do? Just comes out to and
he'll come out and announce that this is the Money in the Bank event.
Yes. He'll come out and announce that it's Saturday.
It's Saturday. We were supposed to be at a much bigger stadium, but everyone's watching UFC across the street. So there you go. That is Money in the Bank, which will wrap up, and then we will be live minutes after right here on the channel. So youtube.com/postwrestling. Let's go into Rampage quickly, and then we will get to all of the